finally we get to have you. People hear your voice, but never really get to know you. You've just been a guest of the show for a long time and a guest in our Discord for a long time, and a big member of our community.
Number one.
But first and foremost, how'd you get into trading?
So I got into trading. It was March 2020. I got laid off from work because of COVID, and I actually just was searching through Reddit to find Discords, and I ended up finding it was called the Boiler Room, and I joined the Boiler Room to just trade. I always wanted to trade, and I traded then, and just started trying penny stocks back then, and it's all kind of grown from there. I actually met Nate, was the kind of the link to this all.
Yeah, I remember. A lot of people may or may not know Nate, but that's kind of how me and Brody met through another guy named Nate we traded together with. So I want to know, so you've been trading since 2020, and would you say, so 3 years, you had no experience before? Like you said, you kind of always wanted to get into trading, so I guess, did you ever hear about it, or?
So I have a cousin that like trades, but he trades like long-term stuff, but never like got into it before that.
So never did trading. So you got laid off to work. You were like, okay, I need to make money. I got into trading. How did that go?
Terrible. It was terrible trading. The first stock I bought was, what was that stock that was about? It was like a massage company in airports that switched to COVID test.
Express Spa, XSPA. Yeah. I remember that.
So my whole account went to Express Spa. My whole account went to Express Spa. It was terrible. I don't know how much money I lost, but I lost money.
Well, that's the issue. A big issue is people they get laid off, or like, I need to make money, and they think trading is the answer. Yeah. And unfortunately, trading, like, you're not gonna make money right away, and it's like a terrible way to get into trading. But I'm glad you're one of the few that actually stuck around and learned. But I do remember the XSPA days, or the whole penny stock pump days, when everybody was trading penny stocks. Even I was trading penny stocks at the time. So you got into penny stocks, right? How long was it until you found some success? And when things start clicking, you found some consistency, and maybe after I'll ask you how much you're up so far, if you do want to share that.
So studying wise, it was probably, I was studying a lot to start. But I think the issue I had was I was just studying anything I could find, so it was like no actual, like no like plan or anything. It was like whatever I found, I would just try. So, you'd have like 100 EMAs on your chart. You'd have MACD and RSI and everything else on your chart, trying to figure out if this is the right thing, and nothing really stuck. So I lost a lot of money at the start. I would say it was probably like a year and a half before it started to like really start to click.
Well, I think it's a pretty good timeline. I guess that's like the mistake everybody almost makes. Yeah, is when you're first starting, there's so much, and I feel like we've spoken about it before. There's so much information out there that it's really hard to like filter. Because you watch a million videos and every single person in there is different indicators, different, the way they read the market, different trading styles, and you just get way overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
And which strategy did you finally find success with? Like, what would you describe your trading, I guess?
So I probably got just like really removing things. When I started working more with you and removing things and just going into it more basic, just supply and demand, or support and resistance really helped. It was probably the easiest. Like it was removing all those additional things.
Yeah. Well, that's why I tell the beginners the first way you should start is no indicators at all, because you have to understand the price action first. Understand the price action, then maybe you can throw in 1 or 2 indicators once you have all your fundamentals set up. And I don't know if you want to share this, but how much are you currently up since you started trading 3 years ago, counting losses? So
probably
profits.
It's probably just over 200,000 now. Almost
over 200,000. Yeah, that's well, how much were you making on your job? Because if you're up $200,000,
not that much, not that much at all. No. And we had to come ask a question in the chat there. Did you do a mentorship with Antonio? I guess my answer to that would be that, working with Antonio every day is probably.
Yeah, so the thing was that you guys don't realize, actually, is me and Brody knew each other. I met Brody when I didn't own a chat room. I didn't do a mentorship. I didn't have a social media. I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I used to trade with a guy named Nate. Brody ended up trading with this guy named Nate. And then during COVID, when COVID first started, me and Brody would talk in the voice chat and whatever. And I was a regular member of Discord. And then I eventually built everything else.
Yeah.
The social media or whatnot. So with Brody, it's like a little bit different story that's going to be with most people. Someone asked if this is Brody. Yes, it's him.
Yeah, so I met you through we used to talk with Nate every day in that chat, and then eventually we just, I mean, I think KK took over when Nate kind of stepped down, and then you slowly. I'm not sure how you moved into the role you moved into, but you eventually.
Well, they asked me to because they're like, "Hey, Antonio, like since it's COVID, can you do social media for us and like
Yeah.
can you post your trades?" I'm like, "All right, sure. I got nothing else to do." So also just had a kid, so couldn't go out
Yeah,
or
that's
do
true.
anything.
Yeah.
And that's how and then I started doing that, and then somehow I ended up being fucking charge of shit.
Yeah, I
I don't
remember
even know how.
I remember when you had your kid.
Yeah, you remember? That's what I'm saying. I used to not even have no social media. I just had a kid, and I used to just hop on the chat room
Yep.
and talk to you guys or whatnot
Your
and
voice chat.
hang out in the voice chat.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could go back in your when you're trading, what would you do different?
The one thing I would do different would probably be I would find one person to follow and then just kind of stick to their trading plan, because I think what happens is when you first start, you kind of just look up like how to day trade and you watch the top 10 videos and they all have different strategies and different plans, and when you mix them all together they don't work, but if you follow one it works well. So you see like a lot of people in the chat now who follow maybe just the smart money concepts or supply and demand, or like trade like yourself, and they follow just that one plan, and that's kind of when they start to really click and evolve. um I think following all kinds of options doesn't really work. You get too clouded, and you nothing ever kind of is the right entry or the right exit. You end up having, you have an exit from one guy which is too far, or an entry which is way off from someone else, like a breakout trade or something. It doesn't really work. So um, I think just going back and finding one person that I can understand and relate to, and just following that plan would be the safest.
Yeah, because I tell people like you might see 50 people that are trading online,
Yeah,
and they all very well might be profitable,
yeah,
right? But do you understand their trading? Do you understand? Do they the way they teach or explain things, or even how they act? If you like everything about them, then only learn from that person. Like someone might not like the way I trade because I'm very, I get very angry. Not angry, but I'm like I'll be very upfront
blunt.
with you.
You're
I'll talk
blunt.
shit. I'm very very blunt, and I trade a certain way, and I don't like people that make mistakes, and I'm very very hard on myself and everybody else. So some people don't might not like me, and they'll go like, for example, KK was the complete opposite. She was very much more kind of like gentle in her teaching,
Yeah,
if you might say. But so just go with whatever you like. Well, I remember we always kind of meshed really well together, even before I was like teaching really anybody. Um, so
yes,
just follow who makes sense for you.
just surround yourself with those
And
who relate. Really key.
exactly, and then also have a little group, right? Like
Yeah,
be in a community where you can. And then a great thing is like if you can teach somebody, like even though you might know very basic things, like you might just know how to draw support,
yeah,
but there may be somebody that just learned what a broker even is. So if you can teach them support, that might just help you understand that concept better. I noticed that
yeah,
my trading got a little better because I have to explain concepts and I have to really, really, really understand them
yeah,
to explain that to somebody and explain them efficiently. So, being in a situation where you can learn from someone, be at the same level as other people, and kind of bounce ideas off of, and then also teach other people. That's a great positive things of being in like a Discord or in a community or any situation like that.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so you were able to trade because you were laid off, or were you able to trade like you mostly worked from home, right?
No, so I was actually working in stores. So when I first started trading, I was out in in the field, I guess you'd say, in stores every day, and I got laid off, and I'm not someone who can just sit around, so I was kind of like going crazy sitting here, and um, I saw the opportunity. I always wanted to trade, and I found Well Simple, which is kind of like an app on my phone. It was very simple to sign up and start. I was always kind of nervous about starting. Like it all looks so confusing when you first start. So Well Simple was very simple, and I signed up to them and got started there. And I kind of did some like reading, and like I said, I joined the Boiler Room, which was like just the first one that popped up on Discord or on Reddit, or it was Google. It popped up, and I joined there and um, did their free chat for a while, and then eventually I jumped into their paid chat for a little bit. But I didn't really have a whole lot of success there. I that's where I met Nate, Miami Eric, even Kubi. Now I met her there, all through that chat. So it was kind of an opportunity, I guess. I took care. COVID laid me off, but I took the opportunity to learn how to trade.
Well, there's a great saying under that, like, sometimes you take a step back, take a step forward.
Yeah.
Because let's say you never got laid off of COVID, and, like, getting laid off sucks. You're like, oh shit, I lost my job.
Yeah.
But no, like, you were kind of like the back was kind of against the wall, and you kind of had to figure something out. And then you were able to find trading and this new thing that now you are making more money than you were your job. So sometimes you have to be in an uncomfortable position to make a decision that will lead your path a whole different way.
And of course, it at the beginning it didn't work out. Like we were lucky the government paid us like $2,000 a month, but it didn't work out. I was just handing it to the market at that point.
So you jumped in right away with the real money, or did you get into the paper trading first?
No, I went real cash right from the start. Actually,
and do you think that it was that was a positive or negative?
It was terrible. It was terrible because you just buy whatever. Like, so you search. I just searched Reddit. I actually searched. It was the penny stocks Reddit and found the top one. And someone wrote this huge write up about XBot, and I was like, "This is it. This is the one. I'm gonna be rich." COVID's a huge thing. Like
Reddit.
Yeah, I was a believer. I was like, I'm just gonna go in all in on this. I'm gonna be rich because they're gonna need COVID testing at airports, and yeah, never happened.
No, I totally remember Express Buy. I think I traded it like intraday, for some volatility. But yeah, you definitely took like you kind of took it the hard way. Like you took every mistake you can make as a trader, which is start off with don't paper trade. Start off with on the Reddit to find random pump and stop stocks. Trade with a bunch of indicators. So you made all those wrong mistakes, I would say.
Yeah.
And you still came on top, which kind of saved a lot of people quit.
Even I was day trading and I was in the free chat of Boiler Room, and you just believe anyone who posts something. So someone would come in.
Oh yeah, and then you DM them. Like someone's like PTA on, buy now, and you're just like, okay.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Like some random guy that you never no idea who he is.
No idea who it was, but just because they said something online, I assumed they were right, and I was like, let's do it.
Like there is no way these old random online little it could be like just a random. It could be a kid.
That's kind of the benefit of a paid Discord is you kind of you cut out all that filters of this random dude saying whatever. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy in Boiler Room, or no, it wasn't Boiler Room.
I was never in Boiler Room. I don't know who's Boiler Room.
Do you remember Simple Trader? Remember Simple Trader? There was a guy.
Yeah, I remember.
There was a guy who would come in and he would always in every channel post some chart he was pumping, some stock he was pumping, and then he would just leave. He'd come back once a week and just post one thing. But that was the kind of who I would just follow, a guy who would just post something that looks.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. I know exactly. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. And if he hit, he'll post oh look, I'm up at that, some crazy shit.
Yeah, he just believed what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing with the beginner. The beginners are a little naive of the markets, and realistically nobody learns in the market until they get beat up. Everybody gets beat up. I can try to if I get a beginner, try to tell them dude, just do this. Step A through Z, and they just will never just do it, and they always make a fucking mistake. It's just literally every single time. Yeah. Luckily for me, and also it's where you came. Most people that are probably watching right now, they came up into trading 2020, 2021, and there was a lot of the pump and dumps and a lot of schemes. The Reddit was really big. When I got into trading, no one was in Discord. I was never a Discord person. We never got into trading on Reddit. There wasn't really anything like that. Most of the information that was out there was actually very solid because there was very few people. Yeah. A little less, bullshit going on. It was more people because it was very boring. It's kind of now. It's kind of boring. Yeah. But only the serious traders, are still trading and still doing well. So I got into trading 2014, 2015, 2016. There was a lot of that. And then 2017, I got a little bit of the Reddit and things got a little more popular. Because of crypto. So the crypto started pumping, that 2017 bull run kind of followed into some of the stock market stuff with some of those penny stocks that were related to crypto. Little side note, I took a couple 0 dates calls. I'm gonna see how they go. Wish me luck, guys.
Couple 0 date calls.
But I feel they were 313s at 85. Little side note. Yeah.
The other issue though with 2020 traders like myself was, I think it was January or February 2021 when the market wasn't just straight up. It slapped you in the face.
But you find a lot of success actually in the bear market, right? You find a lot of success
I learned to fall in love with the bear market, but in the moment it was rough. It was tough.
In Force, I like that. It was tough for a lot of beginners, but I liked it because it filtered a lot of people that didn't know that I should trade.
Yeah.
Because the trader, you have to adapt. What was working 2020, 2021 when you first came, 2023, 2022 does not work.
Yeah.
But if you're committed and you backtest strategies and you understand the market is shifting, you can still be successful, right? So what you were doing before wasn't, but now you gotta find a way to make it work. And if you have your fundamentals are right, you understand the price action of things, you should always be able to find your ways up to the market now. I want to ask, how many trades do you take a day? It's a question I've been like asking all the traders that have been like full-time traders now and making good profit.
I've been trying to stick to like 2 or 3, and I've also now in the last little bit. I mean, I reset my account every month, so I go back to $1,000 every month.
Yeah, so tell us what you do again.
So every month I go back to 1,000. Like at the beginning of the month, I start at $1,000, and then I grow the account and then start over every time. It just kind of keeps me like consistent, I guess. My goal is to eventually grow it, like go to another level, but I kind of been trying to take 2 to 3 trades mostly right now. Trying to skip open. I'll like wait 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll jump into something after that once I see a little bit of movement, because I think it was you were telling me that usually the first move out open isn't always, it's usually just to bait people in to that direction. So like I was finding myself buying that first candle. We open green and I would just go long and then I would get bait into a short. And so I'm now kind of waiting and seeing for like the first 15-minute candle open. Also, just switching to higher time frames is so much better.
And just to let people know, you're from Canada. So the nice thing of what you can do is you don't have the PTT rule. So switch it to lowering to $1,000 doesn't really hurt you because you can just keep getting in and out, and you can have the advantage. And hey, if you have the advantage, you totally gotta take advantage. Do the most of it. So just let people know. Some people will be like, hey, how do you do that with a $1,000 account?
I think that's also a benefit that a lot of Canadians don't realize because a lot of Canadians follow Americans. There's no like big Canadian trader that would be kind of on your level. So I think a lot of Canadians hold longer than they should. Like especially at the beginning, they hold their plays longer because they think it'll bounce. I understand with a PDT, you may want to hold longer because it counts as a trade, but with a Canadian, you should really just cut that tie so early, cut at that tie, have a tighter stop, cut it early, and if you want to get back in later, get back in and kind of minimize that risk because you don't have PDT. And I think a lot of Canadians need to adapt when they trade, and even international people as well who don't have PDT need to adapt.
Well, the thing is that America is the only one that has the handicap, and then like most of the world, they don't have this handicap of the PDT, so they should be able to take advantage of it. And it's upsetting when you see people that aren't taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
As a Canadian, a lot of people ask. I get a lot of Canadians actually surprised at the DMA, so this is kind of like more for them. What is the best way to trade from Canada? Because so many people ask me all the time.
Like what broker you use?
Wealth broker, pretty much.
So
Wealthsimple, but you use another one too.
Yeah, so for Canadian stocks, I use Wealthsimple because there's no fees at all for Canadian stocks. For options,
to day trade or to invest?
Anything. So if you trade any Canadian stocks on Wealthsimple, there's no fees. So that's the best way to go. You can pay I think it's $10 a month to have no fees on U.S. stocks, but if you're
trading, that's not bad. $10 a month.
$10 a month but you don't get your live data is kind of like they don't use like real charts, so it's kind of wonky. So I see someone ask, say conversion fees, but when you actually trade if you sign for their plan of $9 a month, you get you can settle in US dollars, so you don't have that consistent conversion fee of each sale. So it's actually if you're trading like a large amount of money in US stocks on there, it's good. I also when I was taking profits on like larger portions of US stocks like Nvidia, I bought it for the month and then sell it in US dollars so that I can just buy later. So I don't get hit with that 1.5% fee every time I try to sell. Because you assume like 1.5% on a $10,000 position is kind of a lot of money, right? It adds up.
What is that? $150, right?
Yeah. So but that's still that's one share, right? Essentially one share of Nvidia.
Yeah, totally.
So
that's like
that. Yeah, and then if I'm trading options, it's all through Interactive Brokers. They have the best fees, and The software is a little funky. I don't like their charting. I actually just trade off of TradingView charting. I find that's a little easier to understand. But Questrade was my favorite platform to use. I love their charting, but their fees are astronomical. It was like $7 a contract. It was crazy.
Oh no, hell no! You negative 10. Like it's say by $70 contract, you're negative 10% off the bat.
Yeah, you're just like right off the bat. It was brutal. So
Yeah,
Interactive
unless you
Brokers is
did
the way to go.
on trade, you get nothing.
But Questrade is a ripoff, but like their software I think is better than Interactive Brokers. Like their whole overall software, it feels better. Their charts are nicer. It's easier to use. So, but I've just now.
I'll be honest, I can't talk about it as I never tried them.
Yeah, I think they're only Canadian. But so now I just use Interactive Brokers. But I have like I have it set to like essentially just I call it just buying is my tab, and it's just the like order entry section, and I chart all on TradingView.
So. Yeah, no, that's all. Especially if you have two screens or something like that, or like a big enough screen.
Yeah,
I always recommend having your TradingView to the left and then your actual broker to the right.
Yeah,
now, I trade with Thinkorswim, and I kind of like the charts on Thinkorswim. I don't mind them, so usually I don't really want to look at TradingView unless I'm like streaming or something or like showing other people. But I wanted to ask you, what are your rules of trading? Do you have any rules? You tell yourself like, hey, if I took 2 red trades in a row, I'm done for the day. Or I can't risk more than X amount in a day, or I take profits at a certain level or a minimum risk to reward. Do you have any of those that if someone that's trying to learn, and get to your level, because you're kind of like in a good, really spot for someone to look up to. I'm in a spot that's very difficult, and I find it really hard to explain the way I trade to a lot of beginners. Because I made millions of dollars. So when you trade with $1 million balance, I mostly trade $100,000. I don't trade with $1 million. I trade with $100,000. $1 to $300,000 depending like if I'm keeping money there or not. So it's really hard for me to explain to people the way I trade. But you're in a kind of a spot that's like kind of intermediate level. You're not a complete beginner. You've made really nice amount of money in the markets in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But you're more close to someone that's a complete beginner to kind of follow. So what would be some of those rules you give them?
Yeah, I think rule number 1 is to always remember that like the market will come back tomorrow. So like when I first started trading, I would trade like 15 trades a day because if I took a loss, I wanted to make it back. So you kind of revenge trade. Now I stick to that 2 to 3 trades, and I aim for 10% today on the day. Like I want to hit 10% on my account. Anything over that, I won't enter a trade. I'll just leave runners, and then if they run and I get 100% of my account, that's awesome. But like that's not every day. I don't expect that. And then I also don't want to take any less than 10% loss on my account. Usually it's less than that. If I have
your overall account, right?
My overall account, yeah. And then if I do end up getting like 3 red trades, I quit right there. That's the day. I'm just it's not going my direction. I trade based off level, so I don't really have like a percentage for a stop loss or a percentage for a gain. So I can't talk to that, but it's really just kind of understanding that if today is a bad day, you're better off walking away and coming back tomorrow. The market's been here for 50 years or whatever it is now, 100 years.
Oh, it's gonna be more.
It'll be here for another 100 years. Like, don't worry about it, right? And especially with day trading, you don't care about the long-term position. You just care about like in the moment. So just come back tomorrow or come back next week if you have to. Like, it's just not worth it in that sense. And there's no shame in paper trading. Also, I know people don't like talking paper trading, but I think there's no shame in paper trading. I think it's actually
maybe if you took a red trade or two rather than like keep trading, maybe just if you do want to keep trading, just maybe use use the paper trading. Because some days it's like you have a certain strategies and you understand the market, but sometimes the market will not give you the opportunities that you usually tend to do, and then you force trade and you end up in red.
Yeah.
Or maybe the day before you didn't really plan it like you usually do, or you're late and you didn't chart it like you normally would. So there are all those times you try to stay away from the market, and I probably still make that mistake to this day.
Yeah, I think that I don't talk about it much, but like when I blew up my account the first time and switched back to paper trading. My goal was always to make $1,000 turn to $10,000, and I wouldn't go back to cash until I did that. So I think you were able to? I was able, because that's how I got back to cash money. Is I had to turn the 1,000 to 10,000. It took months though, and the thing is, at the beginning you want to just rush through it, so you full port, but you're still a shitty trader, so you just blow that account up over and over again. You have to learn that like have your rules, and yeah, it takes the emotion out of it. But I think that like if you do paper trading long enough, and then when you switch to real money and it's the same kind of look and everything, the emotion's already gone. You kind of assume it's a paper trading account. I think personally.
Well, I tell people this, right? Like, what's the unsuccess rate is like 95% of people fail trading or whatnot. And the issue is that like many people get into trading kind of like the same reason you did. You're trying to get money quick because you got fired.
Yeah.
And I tell people like if your broker, let's say you sign up to Robinhood, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody knows Robinhood. Your broker told you no. To take a real life trade, you have to take the 6 months course. Yeah. And at the end of the course, we're gonna give you a test, and you have to pass the test.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like a lot of trades will be a lot more successful, but it's super boring. It's like going to It's like, okay, I give you a Lamborghini, you need to like race it, but you just want to jump in and drive it without like learning about the car. Like, okay, in a certain curve, you have to like let go of the throttle and actually speed up. And I'm talking from experience actually, because I did that and I didn't know, and I fucking crashed the car. It was I didn't actually want to learn like how to drive it correctly. I just jump in and start driving when it's not like a regular car. So it's boring, but like the boring stuff is like what gets you long term stuff. Or like say you want to play basketball, practice is boring. You just want to jump into the game. Yeah. But then you didn't. You don't have the foundation right.
You have to. Yeah. You have to. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and putting in that time and learning how a market moves is important. And I think that just paper trading to paper trade isn't like a good reason. You need to like set goals and make a challenge that is difficult, especially where it isn't real money. Really do an account challenge that's really out of this world. So turn 500 into 100,000 and like make it out of this world and difficult for yourself. So you have to be good at it.
And a couple other things you can do is we talk about funded accounts, but sometimes like a funded account could be useful tool because you use $90.
Yeah.
You can upload $10,000 funded accounts, and they do like yes, they have rules like you can't lose more than 5% account in a day, 10% account overall. But those rules kind of actually are forcing you to learn risk management, and kind of against your will, but you're still learning it. So those things could be like if you really need to. If you really need to set yourself up with like some rules or whatnot. Yeah. Another thing that people like to do is maybe if you tell like let's say hey I'm taking this trade, but rather than like just taking it and being quiet, you share it you share it in Discord, you share it to your friends like hey guys I think I'm taking this trade this way, so that at least you have your reputation online. People be like oh wow you actually good at trading, kind of build that confidence, or like oh wow you actually suck. So you have some little something on the line. Like you said, the emotions are too hard to learn if you just complete paper trading with nothing else.
And link those paper trading goals to something like tangible in life. Like maybe you want to buy something new for yourself, and link it to if I double my account this month, I can buy whatever, some kind of treat for yourself. Kind of link it to that, and if I don't, then there's a punishment on the other end. You have to kind of link it to real things, real goals and stuff in your life, and kind of make those more tangible.
Because it's like one of those things. It's like when let's say you have to run a marathon and you have nothing on the line, you will not run it. Yeah. But now let's say you got like if you run this marathon, you get $1 million. Then a lot more people would actually run it. Yeah. It's very similar situation when you have something on the line. It's actually you're gonna learn a lot more from it. Is there anything you like to, if you could go back, right, in your first day of trading, what would you go back and tell yourself?
It's not get rich quick for sure. Don't believe everything you read on the internet is probably the big one. And
especially off Reddit, I feel like that's like nobody at all should ever trust anything. Like there's literally nothing on Reddit, like at least for me, that I could read and actually believe. Yeah, but I feel like if I saw something on Reddit, it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna stay as far as possible away from that as I can.
Yeah, but
personally,
but me and you have joked, and it's so easy to like make something sound smart enough that anyone will believe it. Like just throw in random words and
like big words, especially
big words and different techniques, like the MACD and RSI crossover on the 710 EMA or something, like some random shit, and it just like. People believe it. There's gonna like a newbie will be like, "This guy is a genius. I have to follow him," and post some random games.
especially with the EMAs, you can always like let's say you have this crazy like 7 and EMA and like 30 EMA crossover. You can like if you look at charts enough, you can find enough examples to be like, look, it always happens when it's like not true at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things, or like you just throw in like I make fun of like the smart money concept people that like talk about like, oh look, we're trading with the banks. It's like complete bullshit.
Yeah,
the banks, you're not trading with no banks at all. Like the banks don't, they're not trading with you. So but again, if this sounds good, people are gonna believe it, and it's just very simple as that.
that's the thing, man. And it just finding someone you can relate to. That's the toughest part. I think is finding someone who there's a lot of great traders out there, but they have discords now that are too big, and they're not. I don't think they're as invested in their community as I think you are. Like you're still in there every day, and you're making call outs and you're teaching people, and there's a good team. There's a group that are in there every night charting and sharing knowledge, and that's hard to find, I think, still in this market.
There is one thing I'm not sure about. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've never been in really any discords. So I don't really know how people run their discords, if I'm being completely honest. I've always just been like, I only Discord was when it was just because of Nate, so I used to trade with those guys.
Yeah.
And I never joined any other Discords. When I learned how to trade, nobody did it. So like nobody had Discords, nobody fucking joined any groups. You just fucking traded.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of like an old man, like, oh, back in my day we didn't have all this shit you kids do nowadays. But so I never was into it.
When I was in when I first started with Boiler Room, when I first at the very beginning, he was not in the free chat. He never talked in the free chat at all. And when he came down to the free chat, like I'd say he comes downstairs to the free chat type thing, he would chat in there a little bit, and everyone would go crazy and follow any word he said. But he never really like helped anyone or provided any knowledge beyond that. He was always kind of hidden behind this paywall, and I don't know, it sucked at the start, and it was always you just leaned on some random person. There was never any kind of like control over what was said there. Versus, I think that in our Discord, it's a little more controlled, and people come in, and even in the free section, you're in there like every day talking and sharing knowledge and helping people out. And
the streams, just the streams alone. I don't want it. No one really streams live, like. And I think a lot of it is because like a lot of people like it is a ton of pressure. Like you have a ton of people just watching your screen, and you gotta tell them, "Oh, like guys, I'm buying here, buying that."
Yeah.
And I'd like to do that for free for the people to be like, "Hey, I don't really, you'll learn something, or you follow the trade or whatever, whether it goes green or red. Likely almost all the day are green. Very rarely I'll have a bad day once in a while. But I think if everybody was like doing that was on Twitch, I love to see like their win rates and everything else, but there is a reason it's very hard to do. There's a reason I don't think anyone else trades on Twitch for free live, at least as far as I know.
It's a lot of pressure, right? To be on. That's even like when people give out call-outs. I have a lot of respect for that because it's a lot of difficulty to put your name out there and say what you're doing, and then also to see the market like that, like. When I enter a trade, it's like in the moment. I don't know how you enter a trade. Also type it out and share it with everyone. I'm just not that quick,
Yeah, no, it's not easy, and sometimes that's why like the premium moves a certain way. Sometimes it dips a little bit, so you get a better entry or whatnot.
Yeah,
and and it's a fickle business that I tell people like if you do call outs, right, you're only as good as your last call out.
Yeah.
If your last call out was red, people are mad at you. If your last call out was green,
exactly, yeah,
they're happy at you, and you're literally just as good as that. So, it doesn't matter what you did last week, it's what you did with me today. For me today. Very simple.
No, so I think that that was what I would go back with. And I honestly, as much as I like Nate, man, I think that he kind of took me down a wrong path with this. I just couldn't. And a lot of people don't know who Nate is and stuff, and that's fine. But like, it was a guy who I thought was my mentor at the beginning, and I went down the wrong path with him and kind of learned some bad habits that didn't work. That wouldn't work in today's market. They were always. I would spend more time sitting here looking at the screen and missing so much versus learning more. And he was never one someone to like really push you to learn, keep learning. Like you're someone who even to this day you're learning new things. I can see you learning new things. Nate, it was just this. This is it. This is how I trade. There's never any growth. There's never anything different. It just is what it is. Where I think that with trading, you have to continuously be learning and continuously expanding on what you know and pushing yourselves.
Yeah, because like we mentioned a little earlier, it's like the market is always moving, the market is always
Yeah.
adjusting, it's always evolving, it's always some strategies that worked 3 years ago that don't work right now. Even some indicators they get too popular and then it stops working. So that's why you always have to adjust like your trading limit. I'm not saying you have to change the way you trade, but you just have to if things are not working for a while, you have to be able to self-aware to adapt and change and fix whatever it is, and not have that big ego to be like, no, I always traded this way. It's the way it's gotta be, the way some other people are.
Yeah, and like for myself, like bringing in the stuff that Don and Henny teaches from the masterclass really brought a lot of clarity to what I was doing. So just even bringing that into my current trading plan was huge.
Yeah, because we do trade like during the masterclass. We do trade somewhat differently, me, Henny, Don, but I think the main concepts and kind of like the foundations of our trading is all very similar.
Yeah,
supply and demand, and those sort of things. We don't trade with all these crazy indicators.
Yeah.
So yes, we do trade differently, but a lot of those, a lot of our trading goes hand in hand. That's why we find ourselves a lot of times on the same set of trades. All of us.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of taking the you're kind of reading the same thing but in different languages. I guess is the best way to put it.
Exactly, and that's what trading is all about for the most part. I guess it's like coding. You can code the same script for a website in many different languages of coding.
Yeah.
It gives you the same results. So it's all you're trying to do with trading and like understand what's the best way for you
Yeah.
to learn how to read the market and the candlesticks and the price action to have a result, which is try to be green. That's all you're trying to do, make money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been a pretty good interview. I think we've been going for about an hour now? 30 minutes? I don't know how long we're trying.
Maybe, yeah.
How long we're trying to run that for?
I don't know. We can go all day if you want.
Kelly's still here?
Kelly is here. I think she's on a meeting though.
Oh, is she? I was gonna say, what's up? Do you have any questions for Brody? Do you have any questions for Brody?
Me personally? No, I speak to Brody every day.
Yeah, but like imagine you were new. Like, what would a new trader want to know from Brody?
No, he doesn't. I already taught her everything I already know.
We got put on the spot and you're totally failing. Alex
Brody told me everything.
Yeah.
Brody told me everything.
Oh, Brody, if someone wants to follow you and learn from you, where can they do that?
Casual Chris Trades on Instagram. And
okay.
I think
the Discord, of course.
Yeah, the Discord. And the masterclass.
What's your favorite setup?
The masterclass? I mean, me and Kelly are going to be teaching in the new masterclass, so get ready for that one.
Oh yes, very, very true.
Yeah.
That's true. Little shake and bake duo there. My favorite setup is definitely a bear flag. Anything bearish, bear flag is definitely the one I like to trade the most. I'm most consistent with it, so it's probably the reason.
Once a bull, always a bull. I mean bear. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm much stronger in a bear market than I am a bull market.
Which is funny because you kind of learn how to trade on a bull market.
Yeah, but the secret is when you think you want to go long, just buy short.
So you just inverse yourself?
Just inverse myself, yeah.
Inverse the inverse.
Because like new traders, they just blow up their account going long. Well, if you would have just bought short on all those trades, you would have been rich.
But then what if you went up?
Well,
what
then
do you mean?
You just stop out.
I want to thank a couple people for subscribing. First of all, thank you, Pudge the Wajja. Subscribe for 5 months subscription. Also, want to thank Glory Boy for a subscription for 3 months, 3-month streak. Also, a gift from Meta World 3. Thank you. I'm glad everybody's really enjoying these interviews. We'll bring more interviews. We got all lined up. We're gonna have Dawn. We're gonna have Kelly. We're gonna have Zeus again. Who knows?
Henny, maybe? You get Henny on here?
Mm-hmm.
Henny, I spoke to Henny too. We're going to get Henny on it too.
All right.
Henny Mambaroni?
I like that.
So are you going to do call outs?
What am
I did a call out.
No,
I got
Kelly, I'm not talking to you. We're interviewing Brody.
My callouts? I mean, man,
Oh shit!
do
Should I
people
mute?
really want Brody callouts? Like, do they really want that?
People beg for them every single day. People want to Brody
mean-
call out. I mean, of course, you can just put in the junior head trader call outs too.
I don't want to be like, that person who did callouts and then clap their account in front of everyone. I don't want to be that person.
Even
Tell me about
at some point, look, you're gonna have a red trade. Now, if someone claps the red account because you called out one red trade or two red trades, realistically, it's on them. That's what I've learned. Like I've called, like yesterday. Great example was yesterday. 4 call outs, 3 are green,
Yeah.
1 was red.
Okay.
I had more people complaining about the red than 3 green, even though I had 3 green, which is 3 times as much as red. So you're at a point get to realize, like, hey, most people, if you're gambling and you're not doing risk management the way I try to literally walk through you step by step, what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
That's fair.
I will say though, it's very it's hard to fucking put like the chart and the entry and like all that crap all at the same time when you're also trying to enter the trade.
Yeah, you gotta kind of be like 2 steps ahead. You gotta be 2 steps ahead. Like, okay, I think like that's why like when you see in the streams, I'm like, guys, get spy calls ready soon. Like at least like everybody, okay, we're getting spy calls ready. Just be ready for it. So what I like to do is what happened to my?
And then you
Okay,
question
my-
yourself.
back.
Like I question my own trades if I'm doing an
Is my
alert. I'm
camera
like,
good?
fuck,
Yeah.
do I
I
send it
suck?
out? Do I not?
Talking about trades, I added a couple more Q calls. The 313 calls at 0.72. Added a few more here. Been sizing into some longs for today. Towards the end of the day, I'm expecting probably like towards the end of the day, kind of like a pushback up to 313 and a half. We'll see. I've been wrong most of the day today, so maybe I'll be wrong today too. But just so you guys know,
I made my 10%. I'm done. I closed my broker.
you hit your 10% rule today.
Yeah, I took SPX puts earlier, and then that's it.
Oh, I thought that was what? Is that good?
Took SPX long. I shared you in our DMs, and then I took an SPX short, and then I'm done. I took
Okay, so you're green overall for the day.
Yeah.
If you're green on the day, let's say you take a trade, right, and you're up $500, right?
Yeah.
Then your next trade you lost $300. Would you trade again? You're like, no, I want to keep my green. I'm just out for the day.
It would have to be like a perfect setup, and my stop
It
would
to be something like a fucking bear flag right below resistance.
I also wouldn't lose $300 in a trade, so it would be.
Well, no, I just made up numbers.
Yeah. So it depends. Probably not. So like if I make my 10%, like say that would make my 10%, that $500. If I hit that 10%, I would only keep runners to go, and then anything beyond a runner, like I would never enter a trade again. I'm done. I'm moving on because like I think it's like $400 a day is $100,000 a year. So like
Always got goals.
that's it. That's all I need. If I make that $500, I've hit my 10% of my account, and I'm moving on. That's it. I don't need to keep going.
That's a great.
Don't feel like you need to make like.
No, people get in love that like every trade needs to be a home run, and then I try to really focus on our chat. It's like not every trade needs to be a home run. The 10, 15, 20% trades are great. Now set yourself up, then maybe you catch a home run here and there, but don't chase them.
But
right? It's like
I think people also want to have that mentality of they want to be able to, especially at the beginning, you want to be part of the discussion in the sense of like you want to show off a big gain. You want to be, I made 200% of my account today, and everyone likes me and cheers my name, and people get so worked up on that, like that mentality versus like if you
the clutch.
Well, the thing I look at, like I've been trading with like almost you for what, like 2.5 years now, and
yeah, we're going almost 3 years.
Yeah, I can't.
No, dude, we're going on like 3.
I can't name 5 people who have been here since the start. Like they just.
I can name a few, I think.
But like
Henny's one of them. Deep is one of them. Henny Mamba.
But like, since the start, like how long? I don't know. Like Henny wasn't here at the very start. I don't think.
Henny Mamba wasn't.
Okay,
remember since January 22, 2021, guys.
Okay, so let's.
I was here before Henny. No,
we're in 2023. That's 2 years. Okay. January of 2021.
So like, let's think about 10 people. Like 10 people. You can't really name 10 people versus how many people have come through the chat. You know.
Yeah, it's sad to see. It's sad to see. As a great poet once told me, if you have good risk management, you'll make money trading. It's that simple. Issue is that trading attracts get rich quick motherfuckers. and they got terrible risk management. It was one of the great poets. I think he was from Greece or something. Aristotle said that.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, don't get focused on having that big day and showing off big numbers or like someone else's big win, and just focus on like being here the long term. Because if you're here long term, you've beaten so many other people, and you're better than most people, and accept that. Embrace
Because
that.
people don't take small, like they don't want to have like that small win, like a $50, $100 when that compounds and grows. Like you're not gonna have $3,000 all the time.
That was kind of the point of $500 account that we kind of kept track for a month. It's like, hey, look, these 10, 15, 20%, which most of them ran to more because we only count the first or the second PT depending on the trade, end up being $4,000. We wouldn't be happy for $1,000 like only risking
250% on your account.
I'd be happy with that, right?
Yeah.
And with quick shout out to Henny Mamba for the gifted sub. We appreciate it.
That's what almost $50,000 a year in profit.
Exactly.
That's a pretty good.
Especially if you can trade that in combination with your job or whatever else you're doing before the market. Because you only need 1 or 2 good trades a day. Yeah, the more you trade, usually the less money you make.
Yeah, most of those trades were done by noon, right? So
I would say most of my trades are done by 10:30, 11.
Yeah. So like then you go to work in the afternoon, or if you're on the West Coast, that's like you go to work at 8, and you're doing both, right?
The West Coast people have it like the best, I would say.
Yeah.
I actually started training in the West Coast, and that was probably a big reason of my success was I was going to school, but I still was able to trade.
Yeah.
And I was up at 6:30 every day. No, I was not. But I was able to do that because I lived in California, and then I eventually moved to Florida.
Yeah, so I think that's probably like one of the biggest things that people just kind of want to get focused on. Those outlandish gains. They want that big number and that one day flex where everyone cheers their name and drops the little emojis, but then the next day you blow that account up and no one's there for you in the same sense. You have to like really just realize it's a long-term process and embrace that.
So thank you for joining us. If you want to learn from you, make sure you go follow our Instagram. We'll probably link it somewhere below. If you want to learn from me in our Discord, join our Discord. All the links will be down below.